Hi guys, it's Jake from Seller. I'm going to go ahead and jump in here. Let's talk a bit about the item manager. If you followed along with the Getting Started series, you'll probably have spent a fair bit of time here already, but let's start from the top regardless. Most of the things on this page are fairly self-explanatory, but there's a lot going on, so I thought I'd break it down, lay out all of the most useful things for you. By the end of this video, you'll have a more intermediate understanding of the tools available to manage items. Okay, so let's get stuck in. You have a line of blue links along the top here that offer unique functions. The configure menu has some really useful options for stock control, back-in-stock emails, description fields, and a few other MISC things. We'll be heading in there later to discuss one of those things further. The categories and collections menus let you create, edit, and delete categories and collections. Super important for managing your store and keeping everything organized. You can edit templates for tickets as well as see some instructions on how they work. Things like bulk changes and shared modifiers are very useful, so it might be worth looking into on your own time. See if you can figure out how they work on your own, but we'll cover them again in another video. The reset order button in general does a lot of things behind the scenes other than just resetting the item order. So if you're experiencing any issues on the page, you can often quickly resolve them by resetting the order. These orange buttons do exactly what you'd expect them to, so there's no real need to go into more detail there. These navigation options here are very useful though. Once you fill up your store with items, you can get lost in it, so you'll want to become well acquainted with the navigation options. Now let's move on to the table. You can hover over a lot of these options to see what they are, which is really handy. Let's break some of them down though. The type of item and the code you've given it, the name, price, stock count, the number of people that have signed up to be notified if an item is currently out of stock. You can add an email and set it to auto-email those people as well in the configure menu. Then we'll go over emails in depth at a later point. This WS one here, if we hover over it, says website. If an item is ticked here, that means it'll be active on your website. You can quickly pull an item listing from your store by unticking this and clicking Save Changes at the bottom of the page. You can then see whether the item is listed on another platform, such as the seller affiliate ads, or Amazon, eBay, Facebook, Storefront, and Google Shopping if you've set those up. Each item will also have a QR code link here, which can be really useful. The order section will let you change the order of which items will appear on your store. If you don't see the arrows, then make sure you're ordering them by item order by clicking on Ord. If it's still not working, resetting the order up here usually sorts it out. You can manage items, reviews, and descriptions. You can see the HTML code for the cart button, in case you want to use it for a standalone page. The pencil icon edits the item. You can also copy the item with this icon, which duplicates it and generates a new item code for it. And of course, the trash can deletes the item. So we're going to explore adding an item again, but this time we'll break things down a lot further. For the item code, make sure you just use letters and numbers, no symbols or spaces. Enter the price without a currency sign. It'll automatically use the currency you have configured in Tools, Options, General. I'm just going to call this test item because I'm creatively bankrupt. By default, tax is set to prices include tax, but if you're selling 0 rated tax items, you can put 0 in here. If you use weight-based shipping, you can put the weight in here. Obviously, there's no unit required. If it's 100 grams, just type 100. If you expand this section, you'll see that you can put an item on sale. Just set the sale price and the date ranges, as well as adding decorative text to the item if you want to. If you choose custom, you can type your own text in this box. We're going to skip over stock control for now, as that's a whole topic in itself, so we'll talk about that shortly. Modifiers are really useful if the item comes in different sizes or colors. When creating modifiers, the price and the weight are added to the base price and weight. It doesn't replace it. Quantity pricing will allow you to reduce the cost of an item when a certain amount of that item is added to the basket. As an example, if we had a threshold of 10 and give it a price of £8.50, the price of each item will be reduced to £8.50 when I add 10 of those to the basket. You can also pair two items together so they both contribute to the quantity by giving them matching QD groups. An important thing to be aware of as well is that certain promotions won't work while you use this, so make sure you structure your promotions to avoid the two colliding. Cross-sell and upsell is great for those of you that are selling items that can be paired with other items. An example would be selling an electronic device that needs a cable or some other component. Just click here, enter the item code, and the system will handle the rest. Similarly with recommended items, if you have items that you notice are often bought together, you might want to tailor this specifically for each item so that the system will recommend other relative items with a high opportunity for increased spending. You can send out follow-up emails for specific items too, so that users will be contacted within a certain amount of time after making a purchase. If you're smart when you set this up, you can effectively keep customers in a feedback loop, repeatedly buying an item from you once the previous one either expires, runs out, or breaks. If you're using a search bar on your site, you'll also want to make sure you're filling out the search engine section, as it'll link the keywords directly to the search bar and make navigation a whole lot smoother. Very important. The options section here has a lot of miscellaneous features, so I'll just run through some of them. Return URL will provide a page for customers to return to if they click Continue Shopping at the checkout. You'll really want to fill this out. Most merchants either use the URL for the item page itself or the home page of their site. Also, if you don't want to show the basket page immediately, set Display Cart to No. This will send them to the return URL, and if the return URL is the same as the item page, then it'll look like nothing happened. It'll just refresh the page and update the cart. Min and max quantities are the minimum or maximum quantity of this item that a customer is allowed to purchase. Tangible basically means this is a physical item that you need to ship. If you set this to No, it'll be excluded from shipping calculations. This is useful, for example, if you're selling serial numbers to software and things like that. Get image is useful if you require the customer to upload an image. One example is if you're selling custom mugs. This option asks the customer to provide an image, either as a JPEG, PNG, or GIF. Now, as I hinted before, you may want to use automatic stock control. If we go up to the Configure menu, you'll find a few options for this here. You can choose to not use stock control at all and keep track of that manually, as well as a few other variants, one that refuses sale when an item is out of stock, and one that still allows the purchase. In this menu, you can also add an email address to be notified when stock is depleted. The stock quantity for when this notification is sent can be manually configured for each item back in the Item Properties window. This way you can be notified if you're just running out rather than the stock is completely emptied. In here, source stock can be used if you're selling an item in multiple ways on the store. Just add the item code for the primary master item, and the quantity will be reduced from that item when a sale's made. OOS message means out of stock message, so it'll leave a custom notifying text on the page when the item's out of stock. If you choose to allow sales while the item's out of stock, this is a good way of making it very clear that the customer might be waiting a while for the stock to come back in. Now, I know I missed out a few things, but there are a lot of features here. We'd be here all day if I were to break each of them down like this. Seller is bursting at the seams with great functionality, so I'd suggest any merchants new to Seller, go exploring, test out the features for yourselves. See how everything works, and you'll find loads of little tricks that you can use to maximize sales. If you do have any questions about a particular feature, just send them over to support@seller.com with relevant screenshots, and we'll get back to you right away. I hope this breakdown has helped you understand the Item Manager. Until next time, happy selling.